What's this? Okay, it says we're streaming now. An error occurred. Please check later.
Good timing error.
But it also says it's streaming. I don't understand.
What?
How is this possible? Oh, for fuck's sake, Burner. Damn it, Joe Rodriguez. What is going on? When does this ever happen?
Never.
It says we're live. The video is definitely playing. I'm just gonna go with it. It's streaming, so I've got the local recording as well if it does go completely tits up. So right. So we get that. Let's get the intro music going. Oh, I need to share it. Of course, I need to share it. Okay. Cool. Right. Here we go.
The whole Liam Kumar Day effect, not really happening.
Nigel couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I rang up Mendon all, he said he could make it.
Don't think this whole... Phil, credit to the guy, he always manages to do well what he has, but he is a shocking person right now. You guys got a trophy? No.
It was pre-vim.
No, my life from Richard Mendon.
Hi, you go. I'm a tag jack! I'm a fucking tag!
Hello and welcome to the LOC report. We are fast approaching the end of the off-season series, but we have a few more for you yet, and as always Chris is here to join us, and it's only been a few days since you last got to see Chris, so you are awfully lucky viewers to get again. How are you doing, Chris?
Here we are again. Yeah, good. I mean, we're back to midweek. You know, we're smashing them out now, so we're getting a regular rhythm. So yeah, that's it. We're reinforcing that point.
Yeah,
you're beginning to get an idea of who you're going to vote for. So
yeah,
the next 3 weeks should hope to finalise that.
Yeah,
but overall, not too bad.
Good, and yeah, we are. This is our pre-season basically. At this point now, we are rounding into form, getting ready for the big pre-season episodes that will come after we have a few weeks off after the off-season series. So it's all getting to a point. So should we do the news, Chris?
Let's.
Okay, here it is, the league news. Eventually, when the jingle comes through. Okay, this week we will be leading off the news with something other than the draft date, which will come in a second, and it's a big bombshell breaking news. Actually, I only found out myself yesterday, and there will be an LOC baby. It's not mine before you fall off your seat, Chris. It's Coach Nunn's baby. So him and Jen are expecting a baby. She is 12 weeks along, so congratulations to Ross.
Well, I mean, I'm not speechless very often, but
you definitely didn't see that one coming. To be honest, neither did we. I was just going on for the D&D sesh, got there, and Ross was there, and was like, oh yeah, so me and Jen are having the baby. I was like, whoa.
You winded me up. Nah, get out of it. Well, it had to happen at some point, I suppose.
Yeah, we are I suppose at that age now. Yeah, absolutely. A few of us are already married. You're engaged. Others are living together, and so it was coming. That's
yeah. Wow. Awesome. Well, that's pretty cool. So 12 weeks. So we're talking that's 3 months already. So we're talking 6 months from now.
Maybe share your birthday, Chris. You never know. It's around that. Well, or Ben's.
She might. Oh my word! Yeah. That's it. Yeah. What's the date today? It's the 8th, 9th. What's it today?
Yeah, it's the 8th of July today. So
8th of July. For people who are watching later, it's obviously not the 8th of July anymore. So we're talking July, August, September, October, November, December, January. Oh my days.
Could happen. We shall see.
It's a good day. I say that it's a good day to have a birthday on. That's it. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that really, because for years it's like Christmas happens and then your birthday's sort of an afterthought 10 days later, which is like, yeah, I don't know. I'd always want to be one of those people who has a birthday in the middle of the year, because then at least you've got something to look forward to once every 6 months.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you've got the big thing every 6 months. Yeah,
that's
you're right.
it. Yeah. So you haven't just got Christmas and then people are like, right, well, I'm so broke that I'll get your present in 3 months' time. Though.
So big congratulations to Ross and Jen. But then but then the other thing we'll follow up with as well is the draft is on the 29th of August, which is, I would say,
secondary now. That's it.
Oh no!
Get that.
It's 29th of August. It will be in the afternoon or the evening, most likely. And coronavirus in sports, unbelievably, since Sunday when we last chatted, Chris, there has been some more pretty big updates. I don't know how it happens, but it always seems to. We did chat on Sunday about how obviously I raised a question. How prepared the NFL is, and we kind of thought there must be stuff going on behind the scenes, and I actually screen grabbed this excerpt from Rotoworld, which, when was this? It was actually Sunday as well, Sunday evening.
Sunday.
And it was, so GM, anonymous GM, COVID communication virtually non-existent. Speaking to ProFootballTalk.com, an anonymous GM said the league's communication on the COVID-19 pandemic has been virtually non-existent. Most head coaches and general managers get info from PFT or Twitter. The GM claimed, "I would love to be told what we can and can't do so we can plan future things out." Were the words of a head coach. When the league office sets boundaries, they just think you magically know what to do. The coach believes the successful draft was the worst thing that happened because Commissioner Roger Goodell thinks he'll be right on moving ahead towards the season. Obviously, there's some melodrama here, but the league's approach thus far has been one of blunt force, which can work in a practiceless off-season, but reality is rapidly setting in where every other North American sports league has blundered into one disaster after another as they attempt to restart play. So the NFL is sorely mistaken if it can avoid the same fate without a comprehensive plan. So that's screen grab I had number 1, and then his number 2, which came down yesterday, was by Tom Pelissero. He reported that there remains no decisions on how to structure training camp this summer. He noted it should still begin on July 28th, and it's a modest hedge, but within obviously a summer of absolutely no hedging from the NFL. Pelissero also expected a fight with the NFLPA over how camp would work. And the preseason would be organised. Worried about catching COVID-19, players are pushing for 0 preseason games as small rosters. And I don't think there was anything else interesting in that one. I don't think I screen grabbed it, but I also saw among a number of things that they're planning. So originally they were thinking that maybe teams travel on the same day to the stadium, and that got thrown out. But they are going to apparently ban players attending buffets, which is actually more of an issue, it sounds, when you've got a lot of big linemen on your team. So just to further tip that onto the fire. I think, is this another update? Oh, okay. They've also agreed, the NFL and NFLPA have agreed on travel proposals. And it's not been set in stone. There will be a preseason yet, but it's still apparently being negotiated. Every member of the travelling team required to wear masks. I'm nearly done, Chris. Then you can, sorry. Buffets have been outlawed. So that's all the update stuff I have. Which
I don't know what's more devastating to them: the fact that there's no plan on buffets have been outlawed. Let's be honest, it doesn't surprise me, bearing in mind the biggest institution in the country seems a mess about leading it. That's the White House, by the way. If you thought that this country was run ineptly, which it hasn't been so far, not that badly. I mean, I'm sure some nurses probably take out with me, but this is a fancy football podcast, so who's watching? If you want ineptness, you want to look at the government's and the state's response to it in the US. It doesn't surprise me that the US's major sports league follows suit. Because everyone seems to be burying their head in the sand and thinking it will just go away if they don't do anything for a few months. Well, it doesn't appear to be the case. I think I heard today it was something like 10,000 new cases just in one day in California, which is absolutely absurd.
Mm-hmm.
That have just been reported. So yeah, I think they've got a big problem with it over there, and it's certainly not going away. And the sooner that everyone realises the fact that they're going to have to play it in a very different way to that they would be used to, it can't take that much longer, because we are now in early to mid-July. The season's starting in a month and a half's time, or supposed to.
Yeah.
It can't be long before they have to draw a line somewhere, especially if it gets worse. And, there is one way of making the spirits of the nation better, is it's having your sport events. We've seen that over the last month or so. As more things have started to come back, but I do think for a sports created nation like the USA, to have their game, their premier game, especially one that's over the winter with massive TV rating and working, they have to have a way of doing that safely. And the only way to do that is be able to safeguard the players, and they seem to want to be, at the moment, try to do all things for all people. Well, that can't be right. So I will be interested to see what happens next week, because no doubt there'll be even more bans.
For sure.
More things will sneak out, but so it is going to be interesting to see what the world's going to be like come September, when the first kickoff happens, because it's not going to be like I don't think like it has been for the past how many years, 70 years, 100 years.
Yeah, exactly. Well, since the Spanish, we've not seen anything like this on the scale of anything since the Spanish flu, really. And
no, exactly that. And certainly nothing in the industrialized world. No. And in the world of mass media and sports since then, that's nothing on that grand scale. But it's just great that things can be televised now. But to be able to do that, you have to have fit and well players. So.
Absolutely.
So it's a really sorry state. It really is, especially over there.
No,
it's
correct.
It's not,
yeah. USA, Brazil, Russia, they're all in a similar boat. I mean, Jair Bolsonaro obviously just tested positive as well. And
well, that's right. There are many times that I sort of thank myself for living in the country we do. There's not many times that I've.
We may have handled it the worst in Europe, but certainly I think not the worst in the world, at least.
So it's certainly by no means in the world. No, that's right. And it is awfully sad for a lot of people, and it's going to get even worse. But hey, we're going to be positive today.
Yeah, we are.
We're talking about our own.
We are. Yeah, absolutely.
Accolades rather than.
I would just say one more thing before we go on to that. It's I also don't find it a coincidence. With each passing week where we get closer and closer, more. We seem to have more stuff coming out and everything like that to discuss in it. Who knows what's going to happen between our off-season break and when we return for the proper pre-season podcast.
That's right. It's going to be very, very interesting, very different. I mean, you can't say these aren't interesting times.
No, you definitely can't say that. But speaking of interesting times, we're talking my Hall of Fame nomination today. As I said, we are finally here. I scratched my head a bit this off season. My one last year actually did fairly well. It was I think the GM of the 2017 season where I had that absolute raft of injuries, but somehow still managed to patch the team together. I wanted to do something different this year, and what I came up with was, I guess, something statistically fairly impressive, and certainly from my personal point of view, as Gridiron Gang isn't necessarily a heavy hitter, but my nomination is the Holy Roller, which was 2 months or 8 straight weeks of 90 plus points to open the 2016 season. And I started off the article by saying, we all know Gridiron Gang's usually been a fairly consistent team. But outside of the terrible years, of course, but not often getting among the highest points in a weak season or anyway. The stoic approach kind of has its rewards when you've got a consistent team, but obviously or a good team, I should say, but when a bad team, it kind of limits your upside massively. But 2016 was no different, and probably one of the most underrated of my seasons. So coming off of back-to-back 8 and 6 seasons after those few bad years, I had pretty good returns in 2016 with David Johnson. Of course, that was the year where he exploded in 2016. Mike Wallace was still relevant then, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, Marvin Jones, and I have my classic flameouts on Doug Martin, Randall Cobb, Jeremy Macklin, Harry Decker, and Mac Jones. Most of us don't remember Mac Jones, do we?
Jones.
It was a late round pick, to be fair.
Yeah, I was thinking.
But fairly solid draft. You'd say a classic Gridiron Gang draft, I think it's fair to say. But the similarities really ended there because, and I was thinking just before the show, this arguably could have been my Hall of Fame nomination on its own, and it may well be. I won a Week 1 game in 2016. We all know Gridiron Gang sucks in Week 1. I actually won one in Week 16,
wow.
So just leading off with that. You guess.
Just end it there. That's the Hall of Fame nomination is Gridiron Gang, Week 1, 2016.
Won a Week 1 game. Not a particularly flashy game. 93 to 85 was with the series.
That's middle of the road there.
Hey, it's
that is the equivalent of like Burnley Watford on Match of the Day. It's like second to last. It's not quite the worst game of the weekend, but it's close. And someone has to win 1-0, and they do it in the 85th minute, and someone headers it in from like a yard. There you go. That's this game.
Yeah, that's a fair point, and that is basically the Gridiron Gang approach, I suppose, and it actually worked out for once in Week 1 for me. Solid effort all round there, obviously leading the way, David Johnson. Going back to the actual whole nomination at hand, as I even say in the article, it's not flashy, I make no straits about that. But I also start at 3-0, dropping wins on Tom's Tyrants and then the Dream Team by scoring margins of 103 to 123, and we'll take a quick peek at those now as well. So the game against Tom's Tyrants first, again, slightly more interesting than that, maybe middle of the pack for Match of the Day, this one. Again, led by Derek Carr, David Johnson again, and then I can go now. And then again in Week 3, a bit more exciting, not on the Dream Team side, but Gridiron Gang actually went to 123, and as you can see, Marvin Jones absolutely exploding for 32.5 points that week.
That's it, absolutely brilliant. Look at that. That's it. I have to say, it's it. Those three there. Cool. Who's your running back?
Christine Michael.
Oh my days. That's it. I was gonna say. That's it. That was probably like his only 2 touchdowns in the league ever.
He wasn't bad as a change of pace back for a while there. Like he's kind of he's obviously flamed out now, but that was a bit of buzz about him at the time. So jumping out to those 3-0 start. Certainly eyebrow raising by Gridiron Gang's standards, wouldn't you say? That never happens, as we know, with the Week 1 losses. But that's when the classic Gridiron Gang came in, and over the next 5 weeks, I would lose 5 games, as we can see there, against Ixan, Ross's team, Oli Bidet, Ben Acestes, and your team, Chris. In fact, I think I've even and the week. The Week 5 game was where I got the win as well. So not the best. And the Week 4 was a loss as well. So one thing about this is the season didn't end great for me. I finished 6-8 obviously, and that generally asks you questioning why the hell is this being nominated for the Hall of Fame. But when you look at those 5 weeks from 4 to 8, my lowest score was 92 points, which isn't bad. It's not sexy, obviously, but I also posted score totals of 135, 102, 103, and 103. But we all know in the LOC how hard it is to get that consistency, right, Chris?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It takes a great deal of luck. And I think that when obviously the scores are pretty good. We've seen teams, certainly this year, season just gone, have much better records than that from significantly fewer points.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's possible to do it. So you do need a great deal, like, and whoever you come up against in that particular week. But yeah, I mean, I have to say that that season there was probably your last good season for a while.
I think, yeah.
And certainly in terms of the breadth of points scored over the course of the year.
Yeah, for sure.
It does seem that way too. So yeah, I mean, fair enough. Put it into the mix of the Hall of Fame. That's it. And for a team that isn't on paper that isn't that sexy, let's be honest. Doesn't look like there wasn't one player in there you think, right, well, that's aside from David Johnson, of course, where he had his one good year in 4. You think, wow, he's really carrying that team, or so they could have done something more. It's probably where you were, but I think a strong mid-table to playoff push was probably as good as you could have got that year, and maybe did get the maximum out of it in terms of points, but possibly not the most out of it in terms of luck.
No, and it's very apt you say that. Just as I'm flashing up the scores here, I completely agree with you. It's not a sexy team. It's a classic. It's patched together. It's efficient. It's Julian Edelman encapsulates the team for you. It's a team of Julian Edelmans. That's what it is.
Big Derek Carr scoring 43 points that week. So we can only dream of that now.
Indeed.
Well, he can
Indeed.
I don't think anyone actually wants him on their team anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, that's it. I like statistical based Hall of Fame entries because you can back up something that you claim that you are.
Yeah.
And in this instance, you don't make any bones about it. You say, "All right, I'm a 6-8 team, but actually, I did quite well for the first 2 months to get me to a position where I thought I could do well."
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the season, the first half of the season, it was going well. The second half of the season, it sort of fell apart, but not necessarily because of you, but because of other outside factors.
Yeah.
That's probably what the best way to summarise this entry is. The one thing that I will say to everybody here, though, is it's all very well going over the course of a season doing this. Now, however, if you'd have got to the playoffs, or if you'd have got to the, within a game of the Pro Bowl or whatever, then it might be a bit more of a credible entry.
For sure.
Couple of years, it hasn't really been your year. So you have to rewind in time a little bit to get to
absolutely.
Something you actually want to put in, which I get. That's it, because there's nothing worse. I've been there.
Yeah.
That's it. Now I come out to the side. I can be one of those guys who goes, "Well, I've seen the light. I'll come out to the side." That's it. I remember when my team was shit. But I can say that now. And for a long time, it was very similar for me. I didn't have a bloody clue what to put into these because that's it. A lot of the time, it was just pure rubbish.
Yeah.
Just pure. But yeah, like I say, I can see why you've done it. I can see why, because it's something to be proud of, granted, and it's a shame that the record isn't higher. But yeah, I mean, in terms of single seasons, I think for me, you have to win something to be Hall of Fame worthy, and the only thing you want here is the 6-8 award. So.
Yeah, and that's very true. Like, you take into account with all that, like you said, it's the outside factors, and that was exactly the problem here. So I mentioned those five weeks from 4 to 8. I conceded not less than 104 in that span. You can see it on the screen. 104, 106, 113, 127, 105. And it wouldn't end there. You said as well about how well, obviously it did. I'm not making no bones about it. My team did fall off the boil a bit. After that, you can see week 9 was a 68 point, and then there was a few 80s in there. There were still some really good weeks where you can see I got those wins there as well, and even in week 14 with the 100. But what is consistent there, I think only one team in the apart from the start of the season, from week 4 on, only one team scored less than 100 points about me, which is just a brutal run. And
that is absurd.
Yeah,
that is absurd.
We can show you the standings as well. And yeah, it would be no surprise that I did concede a league high 14 1,482 points. There was two teams, that were fairly close to me. Ross's with 1,440, and Phil's with 1,439. But other than that, all below 1,400, and you can see quite a lot of 1,200s there.
I got 14, 13. That's it. That was the one year I think that we got absolutely rinsed on in the division.
It's all because of Nige.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. He went crazy town on everybody. So yeah, that's it. So yeah, I mean, that particular year, I remember it now. I see it there. I remember it clearly because for a long time it was who was going to make the playoffs, and there was a lot of people in the mix. And then I think it got to the midpoint of the season, and everyone just sort of fell away. But it wasn't. There was only a couple of games in it really. So yeah, and in terms of points scored, as you say, there's not a great deal of other people. Were you even?
I was the highest scorer. No, I was the highest scorer. This is the one this was the first time in my career I had the highest scoring team, which is part of this nomination as well, might I add.
I was going to say, shout about that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good. I
think that's at the tail end of the article. That's it. But it was meant to be part of the nomination. So you say about winning something. Technically, I did. I won the highest scoring team.
Now there you go. That changes my viewpoint slightly because without that piece of very important knowledge.
Yeah. Maybe I didn't put it in the article. That's what these.
If you'd have written that article and said, well, I got the highest scoring team despite the fact that I had a ragtag bunch. And I went 6-8 and got absolutely shat on over the course of the season. My 2016 team was like a forgotten good team. I go, perhaps, that's it. But it is one of those teams that that just gets forgotten because it's got no flashy stars really.
Yeah.
And you didn't make the playoffs, so. Yeah. So there you go. So let's just for record, can we see what you finished the season with, and then we can commemorate those people.
Yes. For being part of a highest scoring fantasy team.
Being part of the highest
for the
scoring
only
team
time in their career. Right, so we were in the 2016 season. So I finished the season with Kirk Cousins in the starting lineup, David Johnson, Jordan Howard, Mike Wallace, Marvin Mitchell. Do you remember him? Was it Marvin?
No, I don't.
Is that even his name? No, Malcolm Mitchell, New England receiver.
Jeez.
CJ Fedorowicz.
Wow, I do remember him.
Doug Martin, Adam Vinatieri, Falcons D. On the bench, Randall Cobb, Ted Ginn, Dontrell Inman, Marvin Jones, Derek Carr, Devontae Parker, and Eric Decker.
There you go.
The final roster.
That there, somehow, not sure how, that there was the highest scoring team that no one remembers. And that, folks, we're going to change that out. That, folks, is the nomination. Right? Forget everything else. That is the nomination. The highest scoring team that no one remembers.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Now I know how to amend this comment for next year if it doesn't get into the Hall of Fame this year.
There you go. That's it. We're going to word it differently. You can vote for that if you wish.
It's all one and the same. Next year I'll write it properly, but yeah, that's the nomination.
Straight down the middle now. That's it. That goes firmly into the category of the funny, fond nominations. That's it. Straight there. That's number one in the funny fond one, because as I said before today's podcast, you've learned something today. I've remembered something today that I would never have remembered.
There you go.
Before today, if you just said who was the highest scoring team in 2016, I bet you anyone out there you'd have gone, it's probably the Ben or Nige, any money, because they got to the final. Well, it wasn't.
No. Yeah, very good point. Yeah.
It was Gridiron Gang, because no one remembers them because they went 6-8.
Yeah.
What on earth?
Yeah, one of those. Let's be fair about it, this is probably the most Gridiron Gang way to go as the highest scoring
100%.
team.
That's it. You got nearly the worst record in the league, got absolutely shat on from a great height with points, and yet still scored more than anybody else, and didn't make the playoffs. What on earth?
Yeah.
What on earth?
That pretty much sums it up. So
look, that is a fun summary. That is something that I didn't think I would get to today. I thought I was just going to slag this one off. But no. That's it. Just like that season, I completely forgot. That's it. what their USP was, and that's it. So there you go.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
If you want to vote for that, the funny fun ones, I would say that goes above Ollie's in the pecking order. I have to say, that's it. Forgetting the 2 months at the beginning of the season, and forgetting the 2 months at the end. It's the end that counts.
Yeah.
That's it. And yeah, so go and score 1,400 points ain't too bad.
No, and this, I've said to you before, this may have even been the season, let me see if I can see it quickly, this may even have been the season where I made that Derek Carrier stream that I will never forget. Let me see if I can have a look and see if it was.
To this.
Yeah.
the 2016 Gridiron Gang season, it's all coming up now. It's all coming up now. We're making up as we go along.
This is what the GM awards under the slide for. This is what you people don't see, right? This is what goes in. Let's see if I can.
Oh wow!
It may not have been this year. It may have been the year after. I can't remember.
Please, if it's this year as well, I just tops it off.
I think it may have been a different year. Just looking down, I can't see.
He's in your no, Derek. Yeah. Oh, is that Derek Pitter as well? Oh yeah, man.
Dennis Pitter. Oh yeah,
Dennis Pitter.
Who that? Right, who the hell is Antone Smith? I don't even remember that being a person. Like.
I'm running back for Tampa. No one knows any of the Tampa Bay running backs. Yeah. No one cares about Tampa Bay running backs.
I think I think it may have been another year. Ryan Griffin, another great name. Antonio Gates.
You were playing tight end roulette here, really, weren't you?
Oh yeah, Capri Bibbs, remember him?
Oh yes.
Yeah. So no, I think the Derek Harry was another year, but yeah, it's still quite funny, some of the names. Yeah. So Chris gave it to you. You have your 3 votes. It is up to you how you want to use them when it comes to it, which is, as Chris said, not long off now. So it is a good time to start thinking about that. You can go check out the article. It's in the comments if you haven't read it already. Other than that, that's it for us today, Chris. We get.
It certainly is. That's it. That turned out entirely differently to what I thought it would halfway through that.
Maybe that's what I was going for all along. Maybe that's what I was going for all along. Just to lull everybody in a false sense of security. Then, bam. Bet you didn't know that.
That's it. You waited to the end of the pod before he brought it out. That's it. You know it was the high scoring team, right? That's it.
I could have sworn I wrote this in the article somewhere. Oh, I must have wrote it in the article somewhere. Yeah, there we go. It's right in the last sentence. Gridiron Gang would record the highest amount of points that season, the first time Coach Stubbs had accomplished that feat. The only thing... Yeah.
In that case, it counts. It's already in.
Yeah. The only thing I'm missing is the names on that team sheet, but that is what the pod episodes are for, where we delve deeper into these nominations and bring that stuff to light.
Absolutely.
So there you go. So yeah, I can actually say, because we're doing it on a Wednesday for once, I hope you have a good rest of your week. West Ham are losing right now, so mine's already failed. But other than that, we will be back next Wednesday for the penultimate entry into this series. We will have a quick sneak peek at who that is after the pod. But other than that, thank you for joining me yet again, Chris.
No problem.
And
it's good to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will see you next week. Goodbye. Almost like smooth jazz.